Thank you, friends, for tuning in to From the Front Lines. Today is June the 5th, 2020. We were all shocked and then angry when we saw the video footage of the abuse shown by Minneapolis police to George Floyd. I mean, you know, I'm wordless. It was unbelievable. In fact, I remember thinking, well, maybe this guy was paid to do that. It's so obviously wrong. Everybody's got a camera. He knows there's a lot of racial antagonism, and here he does it so obviously. So it was shocking. Everyone I know, white or black, found such abusive behavior disgusting. So I don't want to deny or minimize the reality of police brutality. I was very disappointed at the way some of the police harassed Christians during the lockdown. It was very wrong. So I think there's a problem, not with every police officer, but there are enough that makes me a little bit nervous. And then that video and the murder of that man. But here's a question I'd like us to chew on. Is racism really the problem? Now, it's certainly what people are claiming is the problem, but I see something else. And I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, the left loves to play the race card. If you don't like the president, just call him a racist. Or if you don't like anybody, if you don't like me or Southwest Radio Church, oh, they're racist. You know, that seems to be somehow a universal term that just makes people angry. If you think racism is the problem, look at the following video clip and think if racism really is the problem. This is really shocking to see this lady being so viciously beaten. She was not doing anything threatening. She was just really begging, don't break my store. It's common to hear that whites are on one side of the discussion and blacks are on the other side of the discussion. You know, like there's a big line on one side of the whites, on the other side of the blacks, but that's not at all true. In fact, Marvin's been picking up some video fragments and stuff where you can see how a lot of black people feel about the rioters and how they feel about the left. In the following clip, here's a black individual who has some truthful and challenging words for the perpetrators of violence. Listen to what this young man shares with those to whom he speaks.
To the rioting thugs of America. This was all supposed to be about calling for justice for George Floyd's murder at the hands of a few bad cops. But your actions have made it clear you don't really care about George Floyd. You have made this about you. So now I will address you directly. You have a right to be furious at the Minnesota cops who killed George Floyd. You have a right to demand severe punishment for all 4 officers on the scene. And you have a right to peacefully protest injustice wherever it may be. But you do not have a right to ravage the cities we all live in without consequence. You do not have a right to put your own fellow citizens of all colors out of work as you raise their places of employment to the ground. You do not have a right to assault the police officers trying to keep you safe as you protest them. You do not have a right to beat small business owners to the brink of death for nothing more than trying to protect their own establishments. You do not have a right to say your skin color makes you a target for police violence, break other laws as a response, and expect your own skin color to absolve you of any accountability. You do not have the right to say Black Lives Matter, but only be outraged when a black life is taken by a white person. You do not have the right to travel in from out of town to be a part of a violent throng, destroy everything in your path, and leave thinking you did something productive. You do not have a right to be offended by stereotypes that say black people are inherently violent when that is exactly the way you act when given the first opportunity. And you do not have a right to dishonor George Floyd's legacy by using his wrongful death as an excuse to justify your criminal behaviors, and then have the gall to turn around and use convoluted circular reasoning to try to blame white people or police for this chaos when it was you who made the conscious decision to destroy your own communities in the first place. But I have a right to say I see right through you, and I know this stopped being about George Floyd a long time ago. I have a right to say your conduct is absolute trash. And I have a right to call you out for the warped, hateful, animalistic, shameful, thuggish, self-serving, rabid, exploitative, counterproductive hypocrites that you are. So I will. I'm Nemani Felder, and that was absolutely nothing but common sense.
The young man addresses what he calls the riding thugs of America. And he says this: "You really don't care about George Floyd." He also says, and I'm quoting him, "You have a right to peacefully protest injustice, but you do not have a right to ravage the city we all live in. You do not have a right to put your fellow citizens out of work as you burn their places of employment," close quotes. You know, some of us have heard, and it's getting ad nauseum now, it's kind of nauseating, but we've heard that the riots are spontaneous, that they're just happening, that the riots represent the pent-up anger of blacks voicing the injustice that has been done to them. And so it's like, well, you know, they've been so badly treated, they just can't help it. It's all unscripted, it's all unplanned, it's just bubbling up. It's a kind of a righteous anger. But is that really the case? Or do we see careful planning and outside help? Now, Brother Jerry Tyson, who is one of our board members, makes some cogent observations about this.
This right here?
Yeah, they put them there.
This the setup.
They put them there on purpose,
Y'all know where
bro.
we at.
They gonna set them hoes right up on the route.
Y'all know what building this is
Come
right
on
here.
now.
I ain't even gonna say what name it is.
Hey, where do them bricks go to? Where do them
This
bricks
is
go
set
to?
up.
Where do them bricks
We
go
gotta
to?
do better.
Ain't no construction.
Gotta do better.
Ain't no construction around here.
I see.
Ain't no construction around here. You just gonna set a pallet of bricks right there. Oh, okay.
Listen, I did jury duty 3 months ago. Y'all don't keep no bricks right there. Do better.
Bruh, they got them bricks, bruh. We are protesting. Crazy. Some random bricks, bruh. Ain't no construction. Ain't no construction, bruh. Just some random bricks sitting here.
Too many things just aren't coincidence in what's been going on. The website Sons of 1776 reported on June 2nd of, quote, mysterious piles of bricks in cities across the country in recent days, stoking speculation that the stashes are being planted to encourage violence amid the countrywide protests over Floyd's death. Brick piles have been found in strategic places in Kansas City, presumably for use during a riot. Rioters in Manhattan happened upon a pile lying on the street Sunday night, despite it not being clear what the bricks would be used for in terms of any construction. A Dallas Instagram user reported seeing a random stack of bricks in front of the courthouse, adding he believed it was a setup. Attorney General William Barr asserted that many riots in the last week were the result of leftist radicals exploiting peaceful protests to pursue their own agenda. He said, "It appears the violence is planned, organized, and driven by anarchistic and far-left extremists using Antifa-like tactics, many of whom travel from out of state to promote the violence." President Trump also said that a majority of the rioters in some places were from out of state and may have been intentionally organized. Extreme amounts of anti- and pro-George Soros materials are on the Internet. The Anti-Defamation League, June 2nd, 2020, reported entrepreneur Lair Lightner wrote on Facebook, George Soros's #1 goal in life is to destroy America so the globalists can take over. He funds the Black Lives Matter movement and riots happening across the nation every time the globalists decide they need a new race war started. He is funding the chaos through his Open Society Foundation.
Attorney General William Barr announced that the Department of Justice has evidence that the far-left extremist organization Antifa and other similar groups have been behind the recent riots. And I'm glad it's coming out, because I guess before they made that announcement, they had to make sure that they had their facts straight, and now they've got their facts. They point out that these leftist organizations, especially Antifa, are exploiting the riots to promote their own violent agenda. And just by looking at what's going on, I think that's becoming more and more clear. On June the 4th, Barr told reporters that there are 3 different sets of actors involved. And I like the way he breaks this down. There are the peaceful demonstrators, and of course there's nothing wrong with that. In America, we can demonstrate, we can protest. Then there are the opportunistic looters. They're stealing everything from, soda to a $330,000 Rolls Royce. So you've got the peaceful demonstrators, the opportunistic looters, and then you've got the extremist agitators. These are the 3 main groups. The Attorney General also said that there are foreign actors involved in the role of violence, and these are the ones who hate America, who want to undermine America, who hate Donald Trump, and who are kind of holding hands with those in America who feel the same way as they do. And I think this is really treasonous. Not everyone in the black community is fooled by what is going on. Here's a clip of a young man who says the black movement has been compromised. He also believes that the Black Lives Matter movement is endorsed by Soros and the Clinton family. He believes this is a setup. He believes the white people on the left are using black people. Now, this young man is not the most eloquent man, and he is puffing on a cigarette, but I think he's saying exactly what's happening.
What's up, world? It's your main man, Chaziel Sons, and I haven't really been hitting nobody in the head. I've been doing a whole lot of growth, a whole lot of growing in the last about 1.5 years, 2 years. And I want to make this video because, I've been concentrating on just family and close friends and whatnot, and just kind of leaving the movement to the professionals. And it was just like, I'm basically say it like this. Around the time, I say, probably the end of 2015, somewhere in there, probably going into 2016, I started to notice, I began to notice infiltrators coming into the movement, which is already, it's been like this for a long time, but I actually started to see them all online, making fake pages, and basically these fake people, part of the black movement or whatever you want to call it, were basically, feeding off our emotions, trying to get us involved in things that we're not involved in, trying to get us to believe in things that we weren't familiar with, and basically pushing us to be more left and democratic. And one thing I want to say right now is, if you are a revolutionary or anything like that, you're not even supposed to believe in politics. So for the people who still are believing that this movement, this black movement, even some of these white movements are legit, man, you have a lot of growing to do. I'm going to say it again, you have a lot of growing to do. And I'm going to concentrate right now, anyway, on the black leaders. Okay? The black leaders, a lot of the black leaders, and I want to hit with this video. A lot of the black leaders are straight leading us to our demise. Okay? They have us working, doing their dirty work. For their dirty work, I mean the far left's dirty work. They got us working basically for them, because how they're getting us is they're playing us emotionally. And they're basically saying how racist and how messed up guys are the far right and the neo-Nazis are, because they need all the help that they can get. So they're getting the gays, they're getting people of other cultures, the people of the far left. I'm talking about the far left. I'm getting somewhere with this. They're getting gays, they're getting black people, anybody who doesn't like Donald Trump. They're basically trying to get you to fight for a war that is being started on American turf very, very soon. And they want us to be a part of their side. What I'm trying to get the black population to understand and understand, and this is critical, is the movement has been compromised. Okay, everybody needs to know that the RBG movement has been compromised. BLM, if you are not caught up to BLM, it is not even a real black organization. It never was. I actually feel bad that I've been keeping a lot of this information cooped up for so long, but I just felt like, you know, it wasn't getting anywhere. But now things are about to go ahead and hit the fan. Anyways, if you have any kind of brain, you know BLM is endorsed by the Soros in the Clinton family. If you have any kind of a brain, you know that those same people don't give a about you, don't give a about black people, don't give a. They're exploiting the black plight to make money off of you. They're using your emotions, and based off what has happened to you, they're using that against you, so you can join these evil demonic people to help fight the people on the far right. They want, or not even the far right. I want to make this simple. The left is going against the right. It's a huge civil war that's being planned out. I want to make this simple. It's happening right now. And what they want is for everybody to choose a side consciously or subconsciously. Now, a lot of these white boys and a lot of these white people, they've already chosen their side. Okay. And what I'm saying to these people is, my people, is you're setting yourself up to get slaughtered. Okay. Become armed. Okay. Become aware. Know what's going on within the system. Because right now, there is hidden powers who are controlling the narrative. And they're brainwashing you to feel a certain way about the system, about white people, about every race, and about yourselves. Do not let these beasts, do not let these evil people do this. And I'm not talking about any particular race, man. You got black people, man. Like I said, the movement has been compromised. There is no black RBG movement. If you were claiming BLM, you were real sad. For the simple fact that BLM has always, and from the very beginning, was being promoted and being paid for by Soros and Clinton. If you think that these people who've never given a about you, all of a sudden, they care about the black man's plight. All of us, man, y'all pay attention. Y'all really got to pay attention.
As I read the Bible, I do not find that racism will be a major societal factor in these last days. I mean, I love prophecy. I love the Bible. The Bible is right on the money, and when it speaks about conditions of the last days, I can see these conditions forming. I think we're seeing signs, we're seeing indicators of what's going to happen in the tribulation period. So yes, the Bible teaches that racism is wrong. I affirm that wholeheartedly. There is only one race, the human race, and we need to acknowledge that. I think if you believe the Bible, that's a wonderful antidote. God's Word, God's truth, God's love, God's grace, it's a wonderful antidote to the nonsense and to the erroneous behavior and the sin of racism. We're all equal in God's sight, first, in the sense that we're all sinners. Whether we're white or black, any other color, we're all sinners, and we stand equal before God. And secondly, we're all the same because we are equal as far as God's love is concerned. He wants to redeem us. He is colorblind. He's not sin blind. He's pretty angry at sin, and he finds sin in everyone in the human race. So if racism is not a major issue in the last days, is there anything else that is a major issue in the last days that we see happening right now? My answer is most definitely yes. What is the issue? Lawlessness, anomia. Modern translations translate the word anomia, lawlessness, but if you like the King James Bible, iniquity is the translation of the word anomia, which means lawlessness. In Matthew 24, verse 11, Jesus says this, "And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many." And then verse 12 says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Now we could say it this way, "And because lawlessness shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." That's what's so evident today. It's lawlessness. And this is a sign of the return of Jesus Christ. It's a sign that people have given themselves over to Satan, that they're not filled with the Spirit of God. They're filled with the forces of Satan and his demons. Just think of all these homes, or all these, even homes or businesses that are being destroyed. You know, if you build a business, you really have to work hard. If you work for someone else, you work from 9 to 5, you punch in and you punch out, you go home and forget everything. But if you're building your own business, it's really hard. You have to be concerned with your business 24/7. You eat, sleep, talk, think, business, your business. So it's very, very difficult to be in business today. There are zoning restrictions, there are licenses and permits to obtain, there are a variety of regulations regarding water, sewage, employees, health care, health insurance, and so on and so forth. So when I see the rioters destroying all these businesses, this is horrible. I mean, you know, this is not somebody's toy. You have absolutely no right to come in and to destroy something that's been a part of the fabric of capitalism. And that's what business is. It's part of the fabric of capitalism. We as Americans are entrepreneurs. And the reason why we're entrepreneurs is because we're not communist and socialist. We want to invest. We want to see our money grow. We want to serve society. We want to do all those good things, but the socialists and the capitalists don't want to do that. So in a socialist system, you don't have a business. The government owns everything and runs everything. I think, as I look at it, as I think about it, I think the attack on businesses is part of the plan to bring in socialism, to make it so financially difficult for entrepreneurs, for capitalists, and that's not a bad word, for people who want to invest their money, for people who want to get rich and who want to serve society. I see this whole thing as a move to destroy the very fabric of the capitalistic system and to bring in socialism. Well, friends, I hope you've received some things to think about from the front lines. It's not supposed to be the last word. I don't consider myself completely knowledgeable in everything and infallible, nothing of the sort. But I do have some opinions, and I think some of my opinions square with the Word of God. So remember, Jesus may come at any moment, at any second. We're not looking for the undertaker, we're looking for the upper taker. One day the trumpet will sound and the dead in Christ will rise first. So are you ready? That's the real question. Are you ready for that day when the trumpet sounds? Have a blessed weekend. Just have a great time, and hopefully I'll see you next week.